powered by the Montana Television Network. This is the Noon News from Montana's news leader.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us on your MTN Statewide News this Monday. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Well, a massive move for tourism and travel today in northwest Montana. Glacier National Park is now open. The entrance at West Glacier opened after being closed for 3 months. Visitors can use Going to the Sun Road all the way to Lake McDonald Lodge. Restrooms and some trails will be open, but campgrounds, hotels, and shuttles are still closed. The east entrances from the Blackfeet Reservation remain closed, as well as visitor centers and ranger stations. Now we head to Butte, where 4 inches of snow showed up this morning to remind us all we live in Montana.
That's for sure. Yeah, there's snow all over southwest Montana. Higher elevations, impacts really being felt for travel conditions. Take a look at some of the mountain passes. Well, if you can take a look around McDonald Pass, hard to see outside of Helena there with some snow accumulation. Homestake Pass just outside of Butte, you can see some snow falling. This was from about an hour ago, so it's continuing to fall. As we start getting north of Butte, some snow showers continue to impact travel, some slick conditions, and the visibility really poor. In fact, tomorrow we're looking at widespread frost possibilities. Bonita Pass, as we start looking south towards around Idaho, some problems there, but this is what Butte looks like right now. Rain showers and only 39 degrees. Take a closer look at the rest of the state coming up in a few minutes.
All right, thanks so much, Ed. Well, the final public memorial for George Floyd takes place this afternoon in Houston, where he grew up. Danya Backus is at Fountain of Praise Church.
George Floyd's gold casket arrived at the Houston church, where a public viewing for him is being held today. It's been 2 weeks since he died after a white police officer in Minneapolis kneeled on the back of his neck for nearly 9 minutes. His death sparked worldwide protest against racism and police brutality.
The American public is responding to this murder in a way that validates human life. Everyone has stopped and paused and said, can we make this one the last one?
Former Vice President Joe Biden will meet with the Floyd family privately today to express his condolences. He's just one on a list of dignitaries and celebrities expected to support the family. Inside the church, there are dividers on the aisles and stickers on the floor to maintain separation. An invitation-only memorial service and private burial for George Floyd will be held on Tuesday. Danya Backus, CBS News, Houston.
And the Houston High School that Floyd graduated from in 1993 will hold a candlelight vigil in his memory this evening. Well, a proposal for nationwide police reform is set to be unveiled by Congress today. The Justice in Policing Act includes some of the biggest changes to law enforcement the federal government has sought in years. It would limit legal protections for police, create a national database of excessive force incidents, and ban police chokeholds. The legislation comes from the House and Senate Democrats. It's unclear right now if Republicans and police unions will back the proposal. A historic crowd filled the streets of downtown Billings yesterday, calling for racial equality and demanding change to the American legal system after the death of George Floyd. Organizers say more than 1,300 people gathered around the Yellowstone County Courthouse lawn. Besides protesters, local militia groups joined the streets armed with rifles, saying they were there to defend local businesses in case the rally got out of hand. Local law enforcement leaders say the protest was peaceful, demonstrators were respectful, and no arrests were made. Well, today's latest coronavirus news. Montana reports 3 new confirmed cases. The new cases in Gallatin County and 1 in Stillwater County. That brings the state's active number to 55, with 24 of those in Bighorn County. There are 2 people hospitalized and nearly 52,000 tests have been performed. Well, the U.S. is running out of the only drug known to help with COVID-19. That's according to a doctor with the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services. He says the last shipment of remdesivir goes out on June 29th. The company that makes it is ramping up production and hopes to have more this summer. A study shows remdesivir reduces the number of days coronavirus patients spend in the hospital. Montana is well into phase 2 of its coronavirus reopening plan, but challenges remain for fishing guides across the state this summer. MTN's Isaiah Dunk has more.
When COVID-19 hit Montana in March, fishing guides around the state knew they were in for troubled times. Mark Reisler is a co-owner of Headhunters, an outfitter in Craig. He said weekends have been busy with locals throughout Phase 1, but that's only about half of the customer base his guides usually get. Maybe it's too early to say, but he doesn't expect the floodgates to open with out-of-staters now that Montana is in Phase 2.
As far as customers go, those long timers, they still want to come, but some aren't comfortable coming this year. So they have canceled and they've just rebooked for, 2021 or moved their dates later in the summer, and we'll cross that bridge when we come to it.
Traveling to get to Montana is one issue. Tony Reinhardt owns Montana Trout Outfitters in Missoula, but he's been guiding trips on the upper Missouri River for more than 18 years. This year, he's had to remarket himself on the fly.
Marketing to residents during the quarantine, folks that I know had been here, and then going through the summer, we're reaching out to people who can get here in a day's drive, basically. People seem more willing to drive than fly right now.
Reinhardt has been relatively fortunate. He said some guides have hardly been out on the river at all.
With Phase 1, we were able to salvage a little bit when we could guide residents or people who'd been through quarantine, but that's not much. And for a lot of guides, they didn't have any work because a lot of their business is strictly out-of-state anglers.
But as challenging as COVID-19 has been, Reisler says outfitters and guides are built to adapt.
Well, you wake up every day and you make a new business plan, that's for sure. Outfitting is you have to be malleable. You have to be willing to adapt, and I think outfitters always are.
In Great Falls, Isaiah Dunk, MTN News.
Thanks, Isaiah. Well, now we go to Bozeman, where the 100 yards between goal lines on the field of Bobcat Stadium served as a way for Bozeman High graduates to have a socially distanced graduation ceremony. More than 500 students accepted their diplomas yesterday, with families spread throughout the stands. It was the school's 120th graduation and will be the last one before some of those student body switches over to the brand new Gallatin High School next year. Although the unemployment rate fell last month, the number of criminals stealing benefits did not. Almost every state has reported an increase in fraud activity, making it tougher for those actually out of a job to collect government checks. The Inspector General for the U.S. Labor Department estimates tens of billions of dollars is being lost to fraudsters right now. Security experts say it mostly seems to be from criminals that have stolen a person's identity. They say victims should report suspected fraud to their state and employer, as well as file a police report. And layoffs caused by the pandemic could soon be permanent job losses. A study from the University of Chicago predicts that will be the case for 42% of jobs. Despite federal aid, and many businesses aren't on a good track of survival from the revenue they've already lost. Although last month saw a drop in the unemployment rate with 2.5 million jobs added, researchers do not expect rehirings to continue at the same rate. We have more news ahead on your noon news this Monday, including a story that's sure to perk you up this noon. Find out what motivated an Eagle Scout to complete a project for veterans centered around coffee. The time now is 12:08, but first, meteorologist Ed McIntosh is back with your statewide weather forecast.